Welcome back to another episode of Terra's Baddies Club. This is the second episode of the new year, and I'm so excited because we have two survivors in a row with two incredible stories. So I am just so excited to welcome Vicky today, and also check out my nonprofit, check out my Sedona retreat coming up because there's amazing things coming up and happening with that. So stay tuned for those. And if you want to come to Sedona, hit me up. But we are going to welcome Vicky today. I met her through Dr. Nay at Dr. Nay's book party, and Vicky has quite an incredible survivor story. So let's welcome her today. Let's welcome Vicky. Welcome, Vicky. I'm so excited to have you today. We met through Dr. Nay at her book signing or her book party in, was it Marina Del Rey?
It was actually Manhattan Beach.
Manhattan Beach. Yes.
But close. It started with an M.
Yes. And those two are next to each other, right?
Yes, they are. They're not far apart. You're not far off.
Yes, but they are both beautiful cities in Los Angeles. And I was so happy to meet Dr. Nay. And you had connected with Dr. Nay. I don't know if you want to share about how you connected with Dr. Nay.
Yeah, no, I would love to. And thank you so much for having me on. And as I was saying offline, I just admire you so much. And you are such a light. And thank you again for having me on here. I met Dr. Nay. She was my therapist. And when I first met her, I didn't know much. Obviously, she was just my therapist. I didn't know about her story, that, the Wolf of Wall Street was her ex-husband. And then I think one of the reasons I connected with her so much was that I was in an abusive marriage and someone that really understood. Not that you can't be a good therapist without going through abuse, but I think you get it at a different level when you've had the same circumstance. And then she was in the process of writing the book that you touched on, Run Like Hell, which I suggest everyone get a copy of. And then I got to meet you, which was amazing. And again, thank you so much for having me today. But that is how you and I met. And I love Dr. Nay. She literally saved my life. At the time when I started going to therapy with her, I didn't even tell her about the abuse because, at least for me, I was married. I guess I should go back a little bit. I was married for 16 years together with my ex-husband for 21 years. We had 2 children. And at first, when you say, or I guess admit out loud that you're being abused, for me, there's no taking it back. You've put it into the universe. It sets things in motion. Emotionally, legally, I had 2 children. And for me, it reached a point where the physical abuse, so it started emotional. The physical abuse started with like grabbing, shoving, choking, and then it turned into pounding my head into the floor. I still actually have some damage to my hearing because of it. And then he headbutted me. And I just knew, now that it's my face where everyone can see, and he didn't care, that we had reached another level, if you will. And I remember it was Nadine. I texted her, I think I need to find a job. And she knew me well enough. I was a stay-at-home mom. And she knew me well enough. She's like, what's really going on? Like, she called me out on it. And I showed her a picture of my face. And she's like, we're done. Like, that was basically it. And I actually wasn't done at that time, Terra, and I would love to say, like, and that was it, and I packed my bags and I went out the door, but it wasn't, because I was scared, and you're in this trauma bond, and I was told I would have no one and nothing if I left, which I believed him. After a while, when you have been so emotionally abused, it's like I didn't know what was real, what wasn't real. It's like he could have told me the sky was purple, and I've been like, okay, the sky's purple. But I think it planted somehow, not a bug in my ear, but even though I didn't realize it at the time, somewhere in my inner self, like, we are done. And then about a week after that, um, I don't know how much I should go into the detail, but there was a breaking point at our house and the police were called. And for me, it felt like an out of body experience where he was abusing me again. And he told me he could, is it okay if I use bad language or you can bleep it out later?
Always. You can
Oh,
use
okay.
bad language. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm just quoting him. He told me he could do whatever the fuck he wanted to me. And it's, I've heard other victims say this before, but his eyes really were black. They were not there anymore. And I felt in his soul, he really, really meant that. And I just had this, like, I stood up because he was over me and I just kept saying, no, no. Like, that's all that came out of my mouth was no. And I really do think somewhere it was Nadine's voice in the back of my mind being like, we're done. And he was arrested that night for domestic violence and child abuse. And that was April 2021. So roughly 4.5 years ago now. And I think the reason why I've done and I would wanted to come on your show to share my story with others, and it doesn't have to be necessarily abuse from a husband, but there's so many other different forms of trauma, to say have grace with yourself. If you are still in a relationship like that and you haven't left, there's no shame in that. I think the statistics are it takes someone 7 times before they actually leave. To have grace with yourself. Some of it's survival. I also stayed because I thought I needed to protect my children from him. And then also to give people hope that there is another side to it. And I'm not saying, it's rainbows and sunshines and one day you're like, okay, yay. It's a road of healing. And you and I were kind of touching on that before we went on, that healing isn't linear. And I still have bad days 4.5 years later. But I'd say the difference now is those moments aren't as intense, if you will. Like in the beginning, they were debilitating. Like I lost time. I don't know if that makes sense to you, Terra, but I would lose time and was just emotionally and physically couldn't move. So I don't have that anymore. And it's less intense. I don't know if that's the right word. And I have more tools now. And more than anything, I have community. And I think that's one thing that's so important. Look how I met you. Like, I consider you part of your community. And to your listeners, Terra said the most amazing thing. Like, I get emotional before we came on. Just be like, if you're having a bad day, like, call me, come see me. That's such an amazing thing. And you'll find once you're open, if you will, or once you're away from that situation, the community that is out there for you. And I think you'd be surprised at how many people will come into your life. And
Yes.
would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. How do you work through leaving when there's that extra attachment with kids?
So that is a good question. And I will tell you again, now keep in mind, it's 21 years, okay? And it's actually no one's asked me that. It's a very good question. And that attachment was one of the reasons I stayed. And I think it's sometimes hard for people to reconcile, like, but he abused you and your kids. And it's like, yes, but you're in this trauma bond. And I have this attachment where there's also the other side of it. Like on the surface, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a husband and 2 kids and we have this great life together. And he would do things like he was great at the grandiose gestures, like our 10-year wedding anniversary. He played this whole like thing in Hawaii for us. And, the list goes on. To answer your question, it wasn't something I planned on. It wasn't, Terra, till that it was one moment, truly, where I had had enough. And up until even after he headbutted me, I had no plans, I'm just being honest, of leaving. And when he was arrested, it's so, and trust, I'm going to answer your question, but it's not an easy answer. A part of me was hoping he would turn around and say, My gosh, you're right. I'm just like, I've done all these things wrong. I will do whatever it takes. Send me away to, I don't know, abuser camp. I'm sorry, I'm just made, but whatever, electroshock therapy. I don't know what needs to happen, but I'm so sorry. I will make it everything great again, blah, blah, blah. And that's, by the way, not what happened. Is he was being arrested. He's still yelling like everything's going away, and this kind of thing about my life and money, because he knew that my lifestyle would be different, so he used that against me. And when he was calling from jail, Terra, I sat there like this, praying, rocking back and forth. By the way, the thing that they say they only get one phone call is so not true. Called and called and called and called. I remember thinking I thought it was just one phone call. That's what it's like in the movies, but no. Everything not to pick up the phone. And I will tell you the reason I didn't, I don't know what you believe in, higher power, or I had this voice just telling me like, do not pick up. This is your way out. Like, this is it. Like, if I was going to be free of this abuse, it was this moment. But I sat there rocking back. It was so hard, Tara. To this day, it almost makes me cry. I wanted to pick up that phone and just be like, forget everything. I love you. Let's just, come back. But I knew somewhere deep down I couldn't. But my heart broke. Everything broke. My soul broke. My heart broke. It was horrible. I wouldn't wish that feeling on anybody. And then, it was my children's safety, right, which goes above me. And there's things he did to my younger son that night I didn't even know, because I was sequestered to the guest room as punishment, which is another story. So looking at my son, that was motivation, because he'd physically hurt him. But letting go of that was really, really hard still. And again, thank you for asking me. And I'm almost not ashamed to say it, but it'd be hard to tell people. And I didn't tell people, but I still missed him. I still loved him. Like, that doesn't just go away. That makes all of that even more complicated and fucked up, to be honest. I'm understanding now. I question, it was a mix probably of love and a trauma bond the more, I'm away from it. And now, Tara, again, it's been 4.5 years. I should almost thank him, because it could have gone one way, where all of a sudden he's just the best guy and does all the right things with me, the kids, with court. But that's not what happened. He basically did all the horrible stuff, did nothing right, kept abusing us through the court system, was still horrible to my children, got a new family like that, which he always said he would. He had his girlfriend, less than 2 months after he was arrested, coming to court with him. While he's still, by the way, even emailed Dr. Nadine if she could do a session with us, saying on the stand, like, I'll never forget this one day. He's like, it's funny, my little one calls this out. He cries, but there's no tears, which is always a big red flag. Vicky. And I was like, oh my God, is he talking to me right now? He's like, I love you. We're best friends. And you're just like, you're legitimately crazy. You're bringing your girlfriend to court. You haven't paid me any support, took me off all our bank accounts, everything. So I couldn't feed our children. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I will tell you all of those things and continued abuse and made those feelings, go away. So in some ways I have him and his own actions to thank for that. And after 4.5 years, I will tell you, I don't know if you've ever been in situations. So we didn't have a last conversation, because he was arrested, and then the kids and I got an emergency protective order that turned into a restraining order that we still have. So we've never had a conversation, he and I. And in the beginning, I used to think if I could speak to him, I would cry and be like, why did you ruin our family? I loved you. Why did you hurt us? And then it turned into kind of anger, because he kept denying everything despite pictures and witnesses, and of course, typical. And then it was like, you know what you did and you have to live with it kind of thing. And now, Terra, to answer your question, I've got nothing. Like, there's nothing I want to say. There's nothing I need to know. I have no questions. I have nothing, which actually feels good. I do unfortunately still have trauma that I deal with, but as far as feelings for him, it's a weird feeling. It's almost like a stranger, but he's my children's father. It's very
Okay.
strange, but that's how I look at it. Like, I don't know. It's strange. Like, I don't hate him. I just have really no emotion. But like I said, that took time and that had a lot to do with all of his terrible actions that he just kept doing and doing. And even if I had that moment of like, maybe I should have stayed, maybe we should have done this or that, and that, I'm like, oh no, thank you again for showing me that you are truly a horrible person. And thank you. So I don't know if that kind of answers your question, but it was hard.
Absolutely. I think you just kept seeing the asshole in him and just being like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then when you were out of it, not getting that oxytocin fix, then you were able to kind of separate the emotional connection from what he was really doing.
1,000%. Like, you get it. Exactly. So
Yes.
that's just the reality, the harsh reality, right? Because there's
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah. It's just like, oh, okay, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. And I still see it till this day. Like, I was just in court. Like, which is another thing, unfortunately, even though I am legal divorced, it tends to be that these kinds of personalities never leave you alone. And I was warned that. And I kind of knew it in my mind, but man, he is like the little, what is that, the Energizer Bunny commercials? Do you remember? I'm just like, when am I gonna tuck her out? Like, like, can we just wave the white flag and just leave me alone? You know, it's exhausting, and those moments trigger me because of trauma and PTSD from all of this, but they don't trigger me in the like, oh my God, when I see his face, I just like, oh my God, I miss you and I love you. No, I see his face and I either honestly nothing or I am like, please stay away from me. You are a monster. And there's a part of me that still is scared of him, to be honest, because anyway, but so that's what I feel now,
Well,
but
I
nothing.
think that fear is rational, especially with him continuing to take you to court, continuing to keep you in this web of feeling like he has the control in a sense. And you have done amazing work from just even separating from that attachment, but it doesn't mean that you can't get re traumatized every time you see him and that your body doesn't remember everything.
I love, Tara, that you brought that up because it's actually scientifically proven, which maybe you could even speak on more than me, that trauma lives in your body. And that is something that I learned more about after. I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder I was just sick all the time when I was in my marriage and had moments where literally I couldn't move. And I will tell you, there's one thing that stuck to me, right after, and I'm going through all this litigation and it's horrible. And my friend said to me, she'd gone through a really horrible divorce. She's like, Vicky, I really feel that I got cancer because of my ex and everything he put me through. I have no cancer in my family. I'm a healthy person. And sometimes you can obviously still get cancer, but her theory was really because of all the trauma she had endured for years and years and years. And she looked at me, she's like, please do not let Khalif give you cancer or make you sick. And it just like really shook me and made me work even harder on healing myself because I was like, oh no. I mean, especially for my kids. I'm like, oh, this man has already in some ways, which does get me a little angry, taken so many moments of my life hell if he's going to keep, making me sick. If that, like, that really pushed me. And there were so many things. It wasn't one thing for me. I don't know about you and your healing journey, Terra, and I know it's different. I mean, I did what is it? EMDR?
Yes.
Yeah, I did Reiki. I did, again, my therapy. If you told me, like, spin around on your forehead 20 times and that'll make things better, I would have done it.
Yes.
I was like just reaching for anything. So I had someone ask me what helped me the most. And of course, Dr. Nadine, but I don't even know at this point because I just was doing so many things in time, you know.
Yeah. No, I think it has to do with like the mind body, like spiritual connection of everything. Like you have to put in that work with your mind, doing the EMDR, that's working through also reliving it through your body and working it out through your body. But I'm sure you look physically healthy, but I'm sure you're also walking and putting movement into your body and doing healing that way. And especially being down by the beach, like getting out for that beach walk, right?
I would love to say I have not lately been doing that, unfortunately, but you are absolutely right. And that you bring that up, that is how I met our other mutual friend, Megan Judge.
Yes.
That is so funny. I love you that you bring that up because there was one day I was having a particularly really bad day. This was like kind of in the beginning. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to shower today and I'm going to get out of the house and I'm going to take a walk down by the beach. And I was just standing there kind of, and I'd seen Megan's podcast just because, with Dr. Nadine. And all of a sudden I hear this Vicky. I was like, oh my God, and it's Megan, and we'd never met before. And she's like, I just saw you, noticed you from a distance because you could just tell, like, there was a lot on your mind. And then I realized that I recognized you. But that is how I met Megan face to face, was at the beach.
Oh my gosh.
I need to do that more. I need to go down and take a walk on the beach more. I really do.
Yeah. Well, a part of having that trauma is you decided to get up and shower. Sometimes it's hard to even just get up and shower that day.
100%. So thank you for acknowledging that. I'm telling you that week, sorry, I don't mean to gross anyone out, but I I don't remember the last time I had taken a shower. I mean, it wasn't a month or anything like that by any means, but it had definitely been a few days. I found it personally also hard because my kids were also healing at the same time. And I was so focused on their well-being, um, and not my own. But then I also came to realize, you know, with kids too, I think they need to see their mom healthy. That's such a big part of their healing journey too. So I think that was a kick in the ass for me too, to make sure that I was strong for my kids, even kind of fake it till you make it in the beginning. Because they were going through so much, being abused, seeing their mom abused. And then at the same time, it's still your dad. It's really complicated. And my younger son actually benefited a lot through EMDR as well.
I love that.
Yeah, his trauma therapist did EMDR with him. She was amazing, but it was a lot. It was like all three people trying to heal, and also heal as a family, and then the family dynamics looks different, and I mean it's a lot of change. And then going through the court system, and my older one had to do supervised visits with his dad and conjoint therapy, which that's a whole nother discussion on the court system. But California in particular is very much about bringing parents and children together, which I completely understand. But I do think there's a lack of education when it comes to abuse. And there's times when that therapy is hurting the kids more than it's helping.
Yes.
So, because you're kind of like re-traumatizing them all over again. There was a point where actually my ex asked to do therapy with me, which I think I was saying earlier. And I was like, you're insane. No, that's a big no. I, and why? But yeah, so I was able. So thankfully, the court never ordered that for me. But my kids have had to do it, and I have seen, how it affects them, where they're making progress, and then it kind of like pulls them back. What is that? 5 steps forward, 2 steps back. But very lucky that they've had their own individual therapists who have really helped them a lot. And I go back to community. Like we had so many people, Tara, just our local community that were there for us, were there for my children, most importantly, whether it be coaches, whether it be even something like giving them rides, in one person, or, you know, teachers. Or so if anyone's listening, let me tell you, all those things matter so much to people, for the little things to the big things. So just want to say thank you to everyone who has been there for us too. On a side note, it made a huge difference to my kid.
I love that. I love that so much. And especially, I love hearing that with starting my nonprofit. And I know that you've even like helped support it in ways too with that. And we're filing this week. We're in the process of filing. My tax person is doing all the work, and I'm just waiting for her.
Please tell me how more I can be involved. It's so amazing.
Thank you. Well, I have a question just to kind of help me and trying to help more people. What are the things that you felt like were really necessity right after kind of getting out?
Like as far as
Like,
like
did you need help in even like housing or moving? Do you think that therapy was kind of the most important thing? Because I'm also trying to figure out what I need to focus on first. And I think we're going with therapy, but I want to hear kind of your point of view of when the initial get out was and what were the things that really helped you at that time.
you have good questions, Tara. You're really
Thank
making me
you.
think. I would say, and again, everyone's situation is different, right?
Yes.
For me personally, on that note, before I forget, community and therapy I agree with. And Dr. Nay has her trauma bond community, so I would definitely use that as one of your resources.
Okay.
Give women that, because women have also found other women in their community who have, but just have the sense of community and knowing you're not alone. And on there, women are also asking about legal advice and do you know this person or that person? So I would definitely have that as part of your packet or whatever you do. I would say legal advice, or just even like a checklist of these are the things you need to do first. Because I was like, you're just in the state, and I know you've experienced your own trauma. When you're in the middle of the trauma, you can't even function or see through the fog or whatever it is. So to have a list of like, do you have all your financial statements? Do you need a protective order? Here's a link to do that. Do you need to file? This is how to file, a link to that. Like those kind of practical things, I think, like a checklist, I think would have been really, really helpful to me.
I love that so much. And that's so easy to kind of create today, even just to have on board for survivors.
Yeah, literally just a checklist for people. Like I did not have to leave my home because he was arrested and the judge wouldn't allow him back in. But if you do have to leave your home, resources for that. I know Dr. Nadine is having, who is it? Is it called the Genesis Center? I may be saying it wrong, but there's a center that actually offers free legal advice. So I would have those resources on there. I would have even things like tell your financial institution, and if you have an investment account, that you're getting a divorce, because then legally they have to freeze your accounts. I didn't
Okay.
know that, and my ex took out like half of our trust. where
Wow.
I didn't know if I had told them, hey, I'm getting a divorce legally, they have to freeze the assets.
Okay.
Like just little things like that. I'm trying to think, but definitely like a checklist of some legal stuff that you're not really thinking of. Resources of shelters, places to go to if you have to leave your home and you don't have anywhere to go, I think would be really helpful. And as much like community that, like I said, this trauma bond community, and I'm sure there's, hopefully other communities out there, I think would be really helpful so you don't feel alone.
Okay. I love all of this. All of this is so helpful. And I feel that even it's helpful for listeners today that may be going through something like this on like what to think about, how to even plan your leave, because I think that planning your leave is so important unless you're in a dangerous situation like you are, and then your leave is now.
Which, and I'm glad you touched on that, which goes back to there's no shame, if you will. And I only say that because I had people, oh my gosh, you're so brave, you left. And I didn't feel brave because I didn't have a plan, because it was just like that moment. Don't have shame if you're still in it and you're surviving. Don't have shame if you don't have a plan. And let me tell you, the more survivors I talk to, I feel stories are different but the same. And sometimes, unfortunately, there's a violent act. And like you said, if that happens, obviously, please call the police and take care of yourself. I did have a friend, this was an important part that I didn't say, where after he had headbutted me, and I was really, really scared for my safety and my children's safety, I had a plan with a friend that if something happened, I would call her and she would call the police. And she's actually the one that called the police that night. So if you can have a plan with someone, not even necessarily to leave, but just if you feel like you are in danger, and not to have, you will know, I guess is my point. And it may not, there's someone I know where she went home and her husband at the time was literally like, oh, what should we have for dinner? And something in her brain, she was like, Vicky, I just walked in there. I'm like, nope, I'm done.
Now I'm good. I just decided no more dinners
Like,
with
yeah,
him. I
like,
don't want to eat this
yeah,
food.
and he was an abuser. And for whatever reason, that moment was just hers. And that was it.
I love that.
So, again, you will know. And again, there's no shame if you're not there yet.
Yeah. No, so true. So true. Well, what has the healing process been like today? I know we talked earlier about the ebbs and flows. Are you still living in those disassociative states every once in a while? I know personally I have them here and there.
Again, another really good question. I would say once in a while, not very often anymore. I think what triggers me, not think, no. I know what triggers me is still this ongoing litigious abuse is my trigger. And when when he does something that directly affects our children, which he still does, that affects them in a negative way. I definitely do have still, yes, have those moments. That goes, I think we were touching on it earlier, that healing, you have to take a moment, give yourself grace, because trauma and abuse, those things live, like we were saying, in your body. They've lived in your brain. You even touched on it, like your body's going to have a reaction to it. And I think what I've learned is it's okay. And I give myself grace to feel it. And I may have a good cry session. I think for me, I get really tired. Like my body, I just kind of, and when my kids go to school, of course things great. But when they're not here, I will just lay down and I'll give myself that. They're like, no, that was 21 years of bullshit. It's okay to be, triggered by this person taking me to court again or doing whatever it is again to hurt our children. It's a lot. How about this? It's okay to say, this is a lot, and I have been through a lot. I'm going to give myself grace to just lay here. And then I have the tools now compared to the beginning, because I think I was touching on it before. Now I'm not, totally decimated by it. I will have that moment, say, okay, and then something Nadine taught me, I'll have my hand on my heart and breathe in and out, and I'm safe, and I'm okay, and I'm loved. And then I'll kind of sit with it, and then as cheesy it is, think about all the things I'm grateful for, how far my children and I have come. There's moments I swear to you, I've thought about you. I've thought about Megan, all these new connections and people in my life, the community we have, things I'm grateful for. And then I get a little bit of kind of anger, like, you're not going to fucking destroy me. This narrative you have told me for 21 years of I will have no one and nothing without you is not going to happen. And that gives me kind of, do you ever have like anger kind of gives you energy in some weird,
Yes.
it's like, oh. So then but it's a lot of different things. I don't know if that answers your question. It's not one thing. If I'm really feeling it, I'll reach out to a friend or Nadine to get some connection. That usually helps me. And I've learned to not be ashamed either, and to say, like I was saying to you earlier, and I would have no problem, and thank you again, to be like, Terra, I'm having a rough day. And I think that would be my other thing. Your true friends, your true community will be there for you. So don't be ashamed of that. Reach out. If you're having a tough day, you don't have to do it alone. So
Yes.
that would be my other thing. Connection, I think, is so important.
I love that so much. I think that I have asked you so many questions. Is there anything that I haven't touched on that you wish I did?
Great question. You're really good at that.
Thanks.
Let me think. No, I can't think of anything. I thank you for letting me tell my story. Thank you for creating a safe space for me to tell my story. Again, I just hope the reason I'm on here is not to bash anyone. It's not the point of my stories. I hope if even it's just one person listening, that you're not alone. Give yourself grace. There is another chapter. I will tell you this, Terra. Are there things that have been hard over these last 4.5 years? Do I still have hard days? Fuck yes, I do. But I sit here and I would do it all over again. Necessarily choose an abusive husband, but I don't have any regrets of leaving. I hate to say, I wish I would have left sooner, would be my regret if I had one. But I also, again, I go back to, I give myself grace because I was surviving and I thought I was protecting my children the best way that I could. But I feel more like me than I have in 2 decades. So I just want to share that with everybody.
That is so amazing, so beautiful. And I'm also so thankful that I got to connect with you and even just got to hear your story, because I know we're connected in, the community. However, you don't go around kind of asking everyone, what's your story? Tell me
Can you
about your
imagine?
abuser.
Sorry, on the name tag. Yeah.
Yes. I was abused by, these
Yeah.
are my abusive triggers.
Like, triggers. What happened? Perfect.
Imagine if we wore that on our sleeve all the time.
My God. Yeah. That's so funny.
Oh my gosh. So a part of the podcast is I do probably around like 5-10 minutes for Patreon, and I love to get into just some advice for what to do in family court with dealing with an abuser in court, especially with children. But for the people that are dropping off here, where can we find you on social media? Where can we connect with you and support you?
What am I on social media? I'm on Instagram. Where, oh my gosh, what am I on Instagram,
I
Tara?
think
That's
you're
so
Vicky
bad.
Edwards.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm just Vicky with a Y Edwards.
Yes.
Or else they can connect with you and then you can connect them with me. I'm sorry, I'm so bad.
No
Yeah.
worries. And I'll have everything in the show notes as well.
Yeah. And again, I can't say enough. Nadine's Trauma Bond community and her website really is an amazing source.
Well, I will connect that all in the show notes. And thank you so much. And we'll continue on for the Patreon. Thank you for listening to another episode of Terra's Baddies Club. We are hoping we're going to get rocking and rolling for the new year. So stay tuned for next week for another episode coming out of Terra's Baddies Club. Also, if you're a therapist and you want to donate your time to Terra Safe Haven, hit me up. Hit me up through the email on the website, terrasafehaven.org. And I am so excited for this new year. I am just so happy to connect with all these survivors and get out all these Terra's Baddies episodes. So until next time, I'm Terra, and thank you for